Hops and Wild are back on the big screen. Is this a beast of a good time? Let's find out.
You've seen it before, haven't you?
Once more unto the bridge, dear friends.
Again and again until we're both dead.
There's only like 12 stories. They change around little details, but all pretty much the same.
Deja vu. Something very familiar about it.
Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, Movie Reviews Connections in Mind. Zootopia 2 is the sequel to 2016's Zootopia. It has a returning to the director's chairs Jared Bush and Byron Howard. And once again, we dive into the adventures of Officer Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde the Fox, who, after solving the case of the previous film, are handed a brand new case where everything seems to go wrong and not everything is as it seems. Now, this video review will contain spoilers of Zootopia 2 as well as certain other things. I'll do my spoiler-free thoughts first and foremost, though, but just so you know, there will be spoilers later on in this review. So, first things first, let's get into some spoiler-free talk on Zootopia 2. Is this a good time in the theaters? Is this a good sequel? It's just more of the same. I would say if you enjoyed the first Zootopia, you're going to enjoy the second one, maybe to the greater and lesser degrees. I'll talk about that in a second, but this is, this is a lot of fun. And at the heart of this story, same with the first one, is the chemistry between Hopps and Wilde, namely the voice actors, Jennifer Goodwin and Jason Bateman. They do good work, and they have a believable chemistry going on. The story-wise, their character arcs do work. I think the relationship is what anchors this movie, and how we get new characters introduced as well. And once they get added into the mix, the new chemistry is an improvement over the original, I would say. However, where this movie falls down, I think, is in the writing, because this is a movie that has a lot of the same top movie tropes. You've got, mistaken identity. You've got, they're too hot-headed. They can't handle this, and the overbearing chief. These were all present in the first movie as well, but they kind of double down on the same kind of stuff in this movie, and they don't really add as much to it. As far as I'm concerned, that they could have done something different on those fronts. However, the central conflict of this story is slightly different, and there's a good lesson to be had in here. This movie revolves around the last movie was about the species as predator versus prey. This time we have the warm-blooded versus cold-blooded, and whether snakes and reptiles are what people think they are, and and also there's a good side story once it develops into a story about by a population that is alienated to the point where no one, people don't know the truth about what's going on. And so that, I think, a lot of people say that is very timely and relevant for it, and honestly timeless as well. So that's a good lesson to be had in this story. But if you just come for, fun animal action and hijinks, you're going to get that too. The animation is stellar, as always, in these properties. And really, what I think only really lets this movie down is, like I said, in some of the writing, there are certain plot developments that, and again, won't get into spoilers at the moment, but, I'm sure, movie meant for kids, they're probably not going to see through this, but it's very obvious what's going on in this, and they even call it out at one point near the third act. A twist is coming as if it's a shock, and it's like, No, you don't get to hang a lampshade on that and get away with it, as far as I'm concerned. So, well, like I said, that's, those are minor things. I think that they could have improved and knocked it down a little bit, but overall, I'd say, again, this is a pretty solid and family movie, and this is the kind of movie that, you can bring the whole family to and enjoy. And, if you're like me who see this as an adult, there's a ton of references in this movie that, again, they're for the parents in the audience, and there's no way you're going to catch them all in the first viewing. So that's, once you get that on physical media, go see it in theater again. Go wait for streaming, whatever. You're going to want to watch this multiple times to get them all, and that's a fun aspect of it. So if I was going to give Zootopia 2 a letter grade, I would say this is an A-. Like I said, the writing stuff knocked it down just a little bit, but solid A-. This is a worthy movie to add to the Disney pantheon. And however, and I'll explain why this is in a second. If I were going to rate this on the scale of unoriginality, I would say this weighs in at reworked script. Same puzzle pieces assembled in a different order. And on that note, that brings me right into the spoiler talk on Zootopia 2. Let's get into some certain plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you and where you may have seen them before. So, like I said, this is a reworked script because if you've seen the first Zootopia, and I made sure to go back and rewatch the first Zootopia, I hadn't seen it in a while. If you know the first Zootopia by heart, you're going to see a lot of similarities with Zootopia 2, because again, we have, Judy Hopps being the eager police academy graduate who is desperate to prove herself on a big case and can't pay her dues. And you got Nick Wilde, the fox, who is, he's the sly fox, and he's also overly cautious, and he has the moral life lesson of, is this worth dying for, sort of thing. We also have the twist villain of the underappreciated person being the twist villain. In the first movie, it was Bellwether, the deputy mayor, and here it is the younger son of the Lynx family who just wants to prove himself and who seems to be an ally the whole time, and then they called them out. The last time there was a twist, and psych, it's that guy. That's the one where it's like, I kind of spotted, maybe kids probably wouldn't spot it, I'm sure, but adults probably would notice, like, I wonder if this guy's going to be important later on when he's introduced in the first act. So we also have the third act breakup of the team over an argument of emphasis, different types of emphasis in both movies, but we have it all the same. We also have the speciesists, let's call it that, conflict being the central plots. In the first movie, it was predators vs. prey. This is the prejudice against the cold-blooded and snakes and all that. And also in the third act, the main conflict involves evidence to expose people in power. One is who is behind the going feral stuff, and then the second one, of course, is exposing who actually designed the weather walls and the patent information. So we got all these things going on, and like I said, there's they changed things up a little bit, but it is very similar, I felt, to this. And I'm not exactly shocked by this, because this is a thing that a lot of sequels do, where the first movie's a success, they want to make a sequel. What do? They don't stray that far away from the formula that worked. So, this is not a this movie specific problem. It's a lot of sequels have this issue. So it doesn't necessarily hurt the movie that it has all these similarities, but I can't exactly call it a brand new, fresh, original story either. And finally, this was kind of a funny thought that's, with Disney, this, the whole central quest at the end of Zootopia 2 is to find where the the buried reptile city section was, in order to find evidence to clear the snake's name. And to me, that was somewhat reminiscent of National Treasure: Book of Secrets, where, again, the whole plot is, our heroes are on the run and they're having to find a lost city to clear the Gates family name. So, Disney pulling out the hits on that one. I thought that, that was a interesting connection to be made there. But other than that, I don't have too much more to add. To this, I will say, I was not a huge fan of the Shakira song in the first Zootopia, and this one it's another Shakira song. To me, it's slightly better than the first movie's song, but not by much. It's just not my thing. But if you like the first song, you'll probably enjoy the second movie's song. So those are my main thoughts on Zootopia 2. What did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about my analysis? Do you agree? Disagree? Did I miss something? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Be sure to look for my next movie review, which will be for Avatar: Fire and Ash, which I believe comes out December 19th. And if you like this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching, but just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, you have seen it before.